Wait,
hang on a second.
Okay, yeah.
Clerk will report, and then we'll go.
Amendment to the amendment and the nature.
Without objection, the amendment will be considered as read. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized to explain the amendment.
Thank you kindly. My amendment's simple, Mr. Chairman. It would not let this bill take effect until all the Epstein files are released. My Republican colleagues have put forward multiple bills this markup that reflect what they say is a renewed focus on protecting kids against trafficking and exploitation. Well, this is the test. If our colleagues are serious, and I believe they are, then they should be happy and eager to join me in supporting this amendment. The text before you is the same text as Mr. Massey and Mr. Khanna's discharge petition that every Democrat and 4 of our Republican colleagues have joined in. In just the last 48 hours, we've seen how important it is that the public actually get to see the Epstein files for ourselves. The Oversight Committee has received Mr. Epstein's entire 50th birthday book, courtesy of Mr. Epstein's estate. This includes the now infamous and slightly juvenile birthday note and drawing that President Trump denied existed at all. In fact, he sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion for reporting that Trump had written this suggestive and lascivious note with the drawing of well, perhaps an underage girl's body, hard to say exactly what it is, but in that note, he draws an outline of a woman's naked body, a young woman's naked body, wishes Jeffrey Epstein happy birthday, and then ends it with, "May every day be another beautiful secret." Well, this is now public, and it clearly includes the president's signature. He's disputing that it's his signature, but it looks exactly like about 100 other signatures that we have from the president, including on federal legislation. So let's not allow this to be another beautiful secret before we proceed. Let's open up the Epstein files. The book also includes some disturbing, never before seen images that appear to depict Epstein grooming young girls. It includes a never before seen document where Epstein and a longtime Mar-a-Lago member are joking about selling a woman, a quote, fully depreciated woman, to Donald Trump for $22,500. You can see it yourself if you have any doubt about it. Look, it's time for all of us to decide, Democrats and Republicans alike. The country is unified around this. Are we going to be on the side of transparency and accountability, or are we going to be on the side of the human traffickers and those who collaborate with them and collude with them and protect them? There is a stench of corruption, predation, and exploitation that now hangs over this whole matter. And we are seeing one of the greatest cover-ups of our century unfolding in real time. Which side are we on? And that cover-up, of course, starts with Alex Acosta, Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor, who gave Epstein a ridiculous plea bargain, ending the federal case against him for no apparent reason other than his wealth, his connections, his political power. There was a multi-count federal indictment ready to go, and Alex Acosta, who was the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida, gave it up and instead traded it for 1 count of solicitation. It didn't even mention child sex trafficking. 1 count of solicitation under Florida state law. He got the sweetest of sweetheart contracts. He was free in the daytime for several months, and then he went and spent the night in jail. And allegedly, he continued his criminal activities, grooming and procuring girls and having sex with underage girls and young women. So, this is about corruption. This is about the wealthy and powerful being able to manipulate the American justice system to get away with their crimes against kids. Let's release the file to the public. Vote yes on this, everybody. Let's make some history today. Let's make some history that we are going to see that the Epstein files actually come to light. That's what America wants. The most liberal people, the most conservative people, people across the spectrum want to see the files. We don't want dribs and drabs of the files they want us to see. We want the files they don't want us to see. We want the entire case file that they've got. Let's clear the air. Let's get the truth and the facts out there. Let's put an end to this corruption and cover-up. Let's do it on a bipartisan basis. I hope my colleagues will support the amendment, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from California, does the gentleman insist on his point of order?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman's amendment would introduce...
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, I fail to see
Gentleman is
how,
recognized to speak to his objection.
I fail to see how the gentleman's obvious case of Trump derangement syndrome has anything to do with this bill affecting immigration law. It's therefore not germane. I also question whether the gentleman's vicious attack on the president's character is in violation of the House rules, but I'll stick with the germaneness question for now.
Does the gentleman wish to speak on...
I certainly do. I don't know what deranged Trump syndrome is because I've not met with his psychiatrist, so I don't know what you're referring to with deranged Trump syndrome. In any event, you haven't contradicted a single fact that I put forward. It seems like you want to try to impinge on my free speech rights or my speech and debate rights. That's a bizarre turn of events, given that we've just been talking about the First Amendment and freedom of speech. But in any event, this is completely material and relevant. It's about the Acosta deal is about providing immunity from federal prosecution to Epstein and all of his unnamed co-conspirators. They were protected by that sweetheart deal. And this is about child sex trafficking, and the legislation is all about the protection of children. I don't see how it could be more aligned with the legislation here. Look, if you oppose it, if you don't want the file coming out, at least have the backbone and the courage to stand up and say you don't want it coming out. But don't say this isn't relevant to the protection of children. Give me a break. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I would just point out that the Oversight Committee is conducting an investigation, and in fact, it's the Oversight Committee that subpoenaed the very document the chairman referenced in his statement, so they are doing their work there, and they will be deposing the gentleman he recognized in his comments, Mr. Acosta, and I think in 2 weeks that deposition is slated to happen. The gentleman's amendment does not satisfy the subject matter and fundamental purposes test, therefore it is not germane and is out of order.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to appeal that. And the reason is, Epstein used a ring of associates to rotate the women and girls in and out of sexual servitude, and many of them came from outside of the country. So this is all about human trafficking. He ran an international sex ring, and now you want to say it's not relevant to the legislation, which deals with the protection of children. I do appeal
I'm just following
that.
the rules.
Chairman, I move to table the appeal.
The gentleman has moved to table the appeal.
Mr. Chairman,
All those in favor
Mr.
of
Chairman,
tabling?
I have a point of order.
Gentlelady can state her point of order.
Mr. Chairman, could you give the rationale for why this is not germane? Because I simply don't understand it. I mean, the fact that the Oversight Committee is doing something does not negate our ability to do something. If you want to vote against the amendment, I suppose you could do that. But why is it not germane? This bill is about unaccompanied minors. We know that there is trafficking. It is about trafficking. It is about sexual abuse. It is about all the things that the release of the Epstein documents are also about. So what is the rationale for ruling it not germane versus you saying that you don't support the amendment, which
No, I didn't say I didn't support the amendment. I said that it's not germane. It doesn't fit under the rules. An amendment may make the effectiveness of a bill subject to a condition if that condition is related to the provisions of the bill. An amendment
But this
delaying
is related to provisions of the bill.
does not satisfy the rules, and that is why it's not germane.
So there's no rationale.
There's been appeal of the ruling of the chair. There's been a motion to table that. The question is on tabling of the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
I'd like a recorded vote, Mr. Chairman.
Recorded vote being requested. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan votes yes. Mr. Issa? Mr. Biggs? Mr. McClintock? Mr. McClintock votes aye. Mr. Tiffany? Mr. Massey? Mr. Massey votes no. Mr. Roy? Mr. Fitzgerald? Mr. Fitzgerald votes aye. Mr. Klein? Mr. Gooden? Mr. Van Drew? Mr. Nels? Mr. Nels votes yes. Mr. Moore? Mr. Kiley? Ms. Hageman? Ms. Hageman votes yes. Ms. Lee? Ms. Lee votes yes. Mr. Hunt? Mr. Fry? Mr. Fry votes aye. Mr. Grothman? Mr. Grothman votes aye. Mr. Knott? Mr. Knott votes yes. Mr. Harris? Mr. Harris votes yes. Mr. Onder? Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Schmidt votes aye. Mr. Gill? Mr. Baumgartner? Mr. Baumgartner votes aye. Mr. Raskin?
No.
Mr. Raskin votes no. Mr. Nadler? Mr. Nadler votes no. Ms. Lofgren? Mr. Cohen? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson votes no. Mr. Swalwell? Mr. Liu? Ms. Jayapal? Ms. Jayapal votes no. Mr. Correa? Mr. Correa votes no. Ms. Scanlon? Mr. Neguse? Ms. McBath? Ms. McBath votes no. Ms. Ross? Ms. Ballant? Ms. Ballant votes no. Mr. Garcia? Mr. Garcia votes no. Ms. Kamlager-Dove? Ms. Kamlager-Dove votes no. Mr. Moskowitz? Mr. Moskowitz votes no. Mr. Goldman? Mr. Goldman votes no. Ms. Crockett? Mr. Issa votes yes.
Mr. Gooden, gentleman from Texas.
Mr. Gooden votes yes.
Clerk will report.
Mr. Chairman, there are 14 ayes and 12 noes.
The amendment is tabled. Who seeks recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to strike the last word.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just following up on a little bit of what the ranking member was discussing, there was a significant event this week in which this committee has jurisdiction over. The Speaker of the House, the third highest ranking U.S. official, third in line to be the president, looked into the TV cameras and told us that the current president of the United States was an FBI informant. I consider that to be gigantic news. And I'm just curious, have we reached out to the FBI, to Kash Patel, to confirm whether the president was at any time an FBI informant? I only say that because the Speaker of the House obviously gets significant briefings. He gets briefings that we do not get as regular members. And so I think this is something that we need to hear definitively. Before Kash Patel comes, we should clear up, maybe that we should send a letter to him to find out if the president was an informant. And if he was an informant, is that because he was working with the FBI after he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein? Did he turn because he got caught with Jeffrey Epstein? When you're an FBI informant, there are lots of questions about how you became an FBI informant. And then how long was he an FBI informant? When did his service to the FBI stop, being a member of the deep state? When did he stop doing that? I mean, look, if a regular member had said this, I would discount it. But the Speaker of the House is the one who said it. And then he said afterwards, well, I may have misspoke. Well, what was his misspeak? Instead of informant, did he mean agent? I mean, what is the misspeak for informant? I mean, I don't know another word that we use when we're describing an FBI agent or FBI informant or undercover. I mean, what was the misspeak here? And if he was lying then, is he lying now? I'm just confused. Perhaps maybe the Speaker should come to our committee and tell us what he meant when he said that. It's just...
Point of order?
I'm still speaking.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm still speaking.
Is there a bill or an amendment on the floor?
I strike the last word. I'm allowed to finish my...
Gentleman from Florida has the time. He's speaking, I think he's speaking about the bill. Well, he's not really speaking about the bill, but he's recognized to speak about the bill.
Well, he's just been interrupted for about 30 seconds. I'd ask that it be added back onto his...
Can we move to restore his time? That was a completely improper interjection.
Time is stopped. We'll give him plenty of time. I'm usually good about that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence, and I'm only bringing it up again because this committee is the committee of jurisdiction over the FBI, and I don't think in the history of this country we've had a Speaker of the House say the president was an FBI informant. I mean, that's a dual role if I ever heard one. And so I just think we have questions, Mr. Chairman, and on a bipartisan basis. Maybe the answer is no, he wasn't an FBI informant, and that's fine if the answer is no. I just think we need to hear from the FBI. The Speaker has confused the American people whether Trump was working with the FBI against Jeffrey Epstein because he had information about Jeffrey Epstein, because he was there for a long period of time, and then got turned maybe by the FBI. I mean, did Trump ever go undercover? I mean, these are questions that the Speaker has raised. By the way, President going undercover would be interesting, but these are questions that he's raised. That is not a misspeak. There is not another adjective or verb for FBI informant, right? I understand the president kicked him out of his club. That doesn't make you an FBI informant. So I think we need to get to the bottom of that.
Will the gentleman yield?
I will.
Just to add on to that, in 2002, the president said that he was aware that Jeffrey Epstein likes girls on the younger side. In 2003, he provided a birthday card with the shape of a woman, his clear signature for anyone who actually looks at it, and references a secret. In 2004, the FBI initiated an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. I would like for this committee to request from the FBI the opening document, the report of investigation that would have initiated the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein in 2004, because I think we should know how that investigation began. We know that President Trump had a falling out with Jeffrey Epstein around that time. Was it President Trump who provided the FBI with the information that caused this investigation to be opened? This committee deserves to know that. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Who seeks recognition? Gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to follow up on the excellent points made by the gentleman from Florida and from New York. Let's try this again. I've got an amendment at the desk.
Gentleman from California reserves a point of order.
Amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 4371 offered by Mr. Raskin.
Without objection, the amendment will be considered as read. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized to explain
The amendment, Mr. Chairman, thank you, ensures the release of all files associated with Alex Acosta in the Epstein affair. The gentleman from New York focuses our attention on the fact that this was being investigated back in 2004, 5, and 6. And in May of 2007, an assistant U.S. attorney working for DOJ prepared a draft 60 criminal count indictment against Epstein. 60 criminal counts: statutory rape, solicitation, human trafficking, conspiracy, and so on. They had a very comprehensive and complex understanding of what Epstein was doing, how he was funding it, who was involved in it. And just 2 months later, Epstein's attorneys met with the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida. That U.S. attorney would later become famous as Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor. But at that point, he was leading the investigation, and he offered to end the investigation and throw away those 60 federal charges completely if Epstein would plead guilty to the state charge of solicitation. Now that has got to be the sweetest, coziest, sweetheart deal ever made by a federal prosecutor. They've got this guy dead to rights on 60 criminal counts of running a comprehensive child sex trafficking conspiracy, an international one. For those of you who are sticklers for materiality and relevance, an international child sex trafficking ring. and they gave it all away. They accepted a short jail stay for him. So what did he get to do down there in Florida? Well, he pled guilty and he got 18 months in a minimum security facility. He was allowed to leave for 12 hours a day to work at a foundation he founded, and apparently continued doing exactly what he was doing before. And I don't want to be too graphic and lurid because there might be kids watching, but he was doing precisely the kinds of things that we're talking about in terms of the protection of children. He was violating children, violating young women, and then he would go and spend the night in jail. And in the meantime, he was able to bargain immunity for all of these other people who were working for him.
The gentleman yield.
Yes, by all means.
In other words, while he was doing all the sexual predation, the government was providing room and board and meals and making it cheap of him to do so.
Well, that's not a bad way of looking at it, especially because apparently it was a very comfy jail cell they set up for him. Now, I'm sure he would have preferred to be back in one of his mansions, which were basically sexual dungeons for the young women and girls that got swept up in his sex conspiracy, which was something that the vast majority of Americans deplore and abhor and want to get to the bottom of and want to know the truth about. But anyway, he spent those nights, and then they wiped the slate clean for him to continue to go on and do it again and again and again. This is a guy who should have immediately been prosecuted and then convicted and sent to prison for the rest of his life for what he had done. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell was prosecuted and convicted as a felony sex offender and sentenced to 20 years in jail. She just got transferred out of her prison to a club fed in. Sex offenders are not normally allowed. Felony sex offenders are not normally allowed there, but after she spoke to the president's former criminal defense attorney, who's now working in the Department of Justice, and he liked what he heard, she was immediately transferred over to this very comfy arrangement in Texas. She skipped over months and months of the normal process where you have to prove there's some compelling reason to be transferred from one facility to another under the rules of the Bureau of Prisons. She bypassed all of that, and she got sent over to this other prison because, well, Mr. Blanche liked what he heard when he went over to talk to her. Come on. We're the Congress of the United States. The framers of the Constitution thought that we would stand up for integrity and we would stand up for our interests and not be servile, partisan sycophants to the President of the United States. So let us all show some backbone today. Let's say we don't move forward on this legislation until the Epstein Acosta file is released. Let's vote for that, everybody. And if you're serious about getting the truth of it, you will support my amendment. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yields back. I would just point out that the director of the FBI will be sitting at that table 1 week from today, and all the questions and concerns Mr. Moskowitz raised, he can ask the director, he can ask him right to his face, and we'll get the answers. And then with regards to Mr. Acosta, he will be being deposed on the 19th of this month. So in 9 days, he'll set for a deposition where he will be under oath, and Mr. Garcia, who has the job that Mr. Raskin used to have, can ask him all the questions, make all the points that the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee just raised.
But Mr. Chairman, you would agree that the questioning
gentleman from California is recognized.
Wouldn't the question be more meaningful if we actually had the file to look
Mr.
at?
Chairman, I insist on my point of order.
Gentleman insists on his point of order. Does the sponsor of the amendment? I'll recognize the gentleman.
Thank you. I'm reminded of Churchill's definition of a fanatic, a man who can't change his mind and won't change the subject. But the subject has nothing to do with immigration law, which is the subject of this bill, and therefore the gentleman's amendment would introduce material beyond the scope and purpose of the bill before us. It violates House Rule 16, Clause 7. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Does the gentleman from Maryland wish to respond?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I suppose I am a fanatic for child safety. I am a fanatic against child sex trafficking. Yes, I am. And I will be a fanatic to stand up for the public interest and the vast majority of Americans who want the truth to come out and don't want to sweep it under the rug.
Then the
Susie's
gentleman
my
will support
time.
this
It's my
bill.
time. I'm not yielding to you right now. I've heard enough from you. Now, Mr. Epstein's victims included aspiring models from abroad, including South America. He had a whole team working in France.
The gentleman, the gentleman should focus on the point of order.
This is focusing on the point of order, Mr. Chairman, because
All
I'm
right,
talking about the international dimension.
Just reminding the gentleman who spoke more than anyone today here at this hearing and has said that he's not going to support the bill, as the gentleman from California just pointed out. So if you can stay focused on the point of order, that'll be good.
I would love to support the bill if you support the release of the Epstein file and the Acosta file. I mean, let's.
We're forgetting all the information. We're forgetting all that information out, and that's why I've told you about.
Well, let's get it out today.
Mr. Acosta's deposition and Mr.
We've heard a lot of promises about getting it out. We haven't seen much action. A lot of promises, but no action. Today, we could take some action. The gentleman suggests that my amendment is not in order because it's not germane to the question of international child trafficking and illegal immigration. Well, Mr. Epstein's victims, including aspiring models and girls being taken advantage of from South American countries and from Europe and France. He used a ring of associates to rotate the women and girls in and out of sexual servitude in different countries, in different places, using fraudulent modeling visas to transport them across state lines and across international borders. He tracked their availability and their proximity using this database. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's hard to see how it could be more material, more germane, and more relevant. It's also the case that air traffic controllers in the Virgin Islands observed Mr. Epstein leaving his private plane in 2018 with girls who testimony suggested were as young as 11 or 12 years old. In one undated incident detailed in a lawsuit, a 15-year-old girl attempted to escape and swim off of Mr. Epstein's island after she was forced to engage in sex acts with Mr. Epstein and some of his guests. The girl was found and held captive on the island after he confiscated her passport, the lawsuit said. So this goes on and on. I mean, you want to close your eyes to it and say it's not a big deal, but don't say it's not germane. You raised the question of the protection of children against international exploitation. This goes right to the heart of it. And I'm happy to yield to any of my colleagues who haven't had a chance to weigh in yet, the gentlelady from California.
Thank you, Ranking Member. I, too, will support this amendment. I was appalled when I heard you say that they were preparing a 60 criminal count indictment against Alexander Acosta. You said 60. That's even more than 37.
But not against Acosta, by Acosta against Epstein, and they suppressed it. Yes.
Well, I was thinking 60, and then I was thinking 37 with Trump. But 60 is a lot. And then I started thinking, you know, the underlying bill is actually, we would be debating institutionalized child trafficking and abuse if you actually look at the text of the underlying bill, which is why I support this amendment. The Republican, you all want us to stop talking about the Epstein Files, but we would stop talking about them if you just released them and popped the balloon. And of course, everybody's going to show up and ask Kash Patel these questions. I'm trying to figure out why all the cover up. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about a man who orchestrated the sexual abuse, the sexual assault, the rape of little girls, of girls under the age of 18 in many instances. Everyone is all up and flustered when you're talking about folks being on a sex registry, about sex traffickers. But now all of a sudden with Jeffrey Epstein and all these people in these files, they don't want to release. They don't want the truth. That is why I support this amendment, because it also begs the question of who else is in the files. And I want to know.
Well, I thank the gentlelady, and I'd like to yield to the gentlelady from Pennsylvania, Ms. Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Raskin. Just as we're coming into this, it seems so clear, and it should be clear to anyone with a law degree who has ever participated in litigation, that you don't want to go into a deposition to question someone when you don't have all the facts that are available. So I wholeheartedly support the idea that we need to have all of the Epstein Files released. Otherwise, the work that this committee is going to do is going to be hamstrung. It becomes another part of a cover-up. You know, why won't they allow these files to be released when it would do the most good for this committee and this Congress to do its work? I mean, what are they hiding? I support the amendment, and I yield back
Thank you.
to my colleague.
I just would say finally, Mr. Chairman, this legislation is well-intended in different ways, and it's very flawed in other ways. One of the ways in which it's flawed is it says that kids can only be put with a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, but not other people who have lawful presence in the country who may be family members. Don't we want a situation where all kids are taken care of so they don't end up in a situation like this? They might be released to someone who's actually a child sex predator. This is completely germane and irrelevant, and I hope everybody supports the amendment. Thanks.
It does not satisfy House Rule 16, Clause 7, and therefore the subject matter and fundamental purposes test, and therefore is not germane and is out of order.
I'd like to appeal the ruling of the chair.
Gentleman appeals the ruling of the chair. The gentleman from New Jersey makes a motion to table. All those in favor of tabling the motion to appeal say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Recorded vote, please, Mr. Chairman.
Recorded vote being requested. The clerk will call the roll. On
Mr. Jordan?
On the table, yes.
Mr. Jordan votes yes. Mr. Issa? Mr. Biggs? Mr. McClintock? Mr. McClintock votes aye. Mr. Tiffany? Mr. Massey? Mr. Massey votes no. Mr. Roy? Mr. Fitzgerald? Mr. Fitzgerald votes aye. Mr. Klein? Mr. Gooden? Mr. Van Drew? Mr. Gooden votes aye. Mr. Van Drew votes aye. Mr. Nels? Mr. Nels votes yes. Mr. Moore? Mr. Kiley? Ms. Hageman? Ms. Lee? Mr. Hunt? Mr. Fry? Mr. Fry votes aye. Mr. Grothman? Mr. Grothman votes aye. Mr. Knott? Mr. Harris? Mr. Onder? Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Gill? Mr. Baumgartner? Mr. Baumgartner votes aye. Mr. Raskin?
No.
Mr. Raskin votes no. Mr. Nadler? Mr. Nadler votes no. Ms. Lofgren? Mr. Cohen? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson votes no. Mr. Swalwell? Mr. Liu? Mr. Liu votes no. Ms. Jayapal? Ms. Jayapal votes no. Mr. Correa? Mr. Correa votes no. Ms. Scanlon?
No.
Ms. Scanlon votes no. Mr. Neguse? Ms. McBath? Ms. McBath votes no. Ms. Ross? Ms. Ballant? Ms. Ballant votes no. Mr. Garcia? Mr. Garcia votes no. Ms. Kamlager-Dove? Ms. Kamlager-Dove votes no. Mr. Moskowitz? Mr. Moskowitz votes no. Mr. Goldman? Mr. Goldman votes no. Ms. Crockett? Mr. Moore, you're not recorded. Mr. Moore votes yes. Mr. Issa votes yes. Ms. Lee votes yes. Mr. Knott? Mr. Knott votes yes. Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Schmidt votes aye. Mr. Onder, you're not recorded. Mr. Onder votes yes. Ms. Lofgren? Ms. Lofgren votes no.
Mr. Chairman, do we have a result under regular order now?
Not under regular order, if you don't.
Ms. Ross, you're not recorded. No. Ms. Ross votes no.